Hello students, we're going to discuss about 10 days rule, 14 days rule, 28 days rule. So we have been discussing about radiation protection, about time, distance and shielding, and justification, optimization and limitation. And we have heard a lot about protective materials like lead apron, thyroid shielding, gonadal shielding, lead glass, and so on. So apart from that, if a female patient has to come for radiographic examination, which uses ionizing radiation, we have to note certain things like this: 10 days rule, 14 days rule, 28 days rule. We all know that this X-rays helps us diagnose any kinds of diseases, imaging due to imaging all kinds of pathologies. Despite the benefits of all of this ionizing radiation, excessive X-rays may cause harm to the human body. So the children of pregnant patient may suffer from congenital abnormalities as a result of irradiation to ionizing radiation. And X-rays may also cause abnormal cellular proliferation, which can result in cancer. And in addition to this, lead shieldings and lead aprons are used whenever it is appropriate or in order to reduce radiation dose to the patient. So the likelihood or the actual presence of pregnancy should be ruled out before they are exposed to medical ionizing radiation. So for this, we must remember this 28 days menstrual cycle, the phases of menstruation, ovulation, luteal phase, follicular phase, when is the menstruation stops, when does it begin. So we have to know all of this information for a female patient. So according to ICRP, fetal exposure to ionizing radiation can either induce malformation or congenital abnormalities. So for this, we have to prevent a female patient from happening from these kinds of malformations. If a female patient comes for X-ray, they should be exposed only when the benefits outweighs the risks in urgent medical conditions. Okay, so for this 10 days rule, the National Health and Medical Research Council has recommended in the year 1964 that in women of childbearing age, non-urgent X-ray examinations that entail pelvic irradiation should be restricted to the first 10 days of the menstrual cycle. So once the menstruation stops, up to the next 10 days, irradiation of the female patient, that is a woman who is of childbearing age, should not be exposed to ionizing radiation. And for 14 days rules, the same. It happens the same. It will be the same for 10 days rules, but it is extended into 14 days. That is, in women of childbearing age, non-urgent X-ray examinations that entailed pelvic irradiation should be restricted to the first 14 days of the menstrual cycle. So lastly, we have 28 days rule. So for this 28 days rule, we know that X-rays are detrimental to the developing fetus. Every woman of childbearing age presenting for a radiological examination that involves direct abdominal or pelvic irradiation should be asked whether she is or might be pregnant. If the possibility of pregnancy is excluded, we would proceed with the radiological examination. So the International Commission on Radiological Protection has recommended in the year 1984 that any kinds of radiological examination, if so justified, can be carried throughout the cycle until a period is missed. So that means if the possibility of pregnancy cannot be excluded, she would be asked whether her last menstrual period is overdue, or if it's overdue, that means like for the past 28 days, considerations should be given to postpone the examinations. And for higher radiation dose procedures such as abdominal or pelvic examination, the examination may be postponed to the early part of the days of the menstrual cycle, that is 10 days rule. Exceptions would include urgent radiological examinations when outweighs the benefits of the examinations and are likely and are far likely do not produce any kinds of small risks to the fetus from irradiation. So we should know and remember all of these rules in order to examine a female patient. Thank you. You can see the kinds of radiation dose that I have mentioned here. A fetal dose of more than 100 milligray has to occur. So this is the one that I was saying. For any kinds of high radiation dose, which will include examination of abdomen or barium enema, the examination may be postponed before 10 days of the menstrual cycle, that is a 10 days rule, and only if they outweigh any kinds of small risks to the fetus from irradiation. So thank you.